When a man suddenly shuts himself and keeps to himself all the time, sometimes it's not because they don't want to share their feelings, it's not because they don't really want to express themselves, it's because you want to be heard, you want to be listened to without being judged. But the moment a man decides to open up, he ends up being judged. Picture this: a man decides to take a decision and feels like, I'm not going to keep this to myself, let me share with my partner. And because you are not in tune with this, you become judgmental, confrontational, and how do you expect him to react in a similar case? It's not always going to be about shoving and, telling you what you want to hear all the time. Sometimes a man just wants to express how he feels. He wants to express the things he does. Even when he knows he did wrong, he wants you to listen to him, give him candid advice without being judgmental. But these are the things some people just cannot cope with. You want to, a man confides in you, and because of your girly, you always want to hang out, you always have this bestie you want to tell things, you want to share moments with, not because you're doing it intentionally to hurt your man, but because you just can't keep it to yourself. The third ear hears it, the bestie tells to another person, and before you know it, a lot of things begin to come into play, and it becomes very disappointing when what was told to you in confidence gets to the third ear. A man suddenly shut down. He keeps his problems to himself, he keeps his secrets to himself, and this withdrawal syndrome begins to set in. The moment you realize that your partner is beginning to shut down, even in the midst of chaos, in the midst, you can outrightly tell your partner is stressed, but he finds it very difficult to fully open up to you, then you should know that you've definitely crossed the line by not being receptive to his feelings, not being receptive to the things that bothers him, but you just want to listen and you judge him afterwards. This completely shuts a man out. Have you ever wondered why some men would sit and, in the midst of chaos, they seem very composed? That's why you see a lot of people would be fine, and the next day they probably must have unalived themselves in one way or the other because they've gotten to a point where nobody wants to truly listen without being judgmental. Nobody wants to offer genuine advice without being confrontational. Like bottle up their emotions, bottle up their feelings, and at the end of the day, they feel like nobody's gonna hear. There's this favorite saying that says, "A man only gets flowers on his grave." It seems to be the norm in the society these days. Nobody wants to know if a man is doing well. Nobody wants to know the pain he's going through. Nobody wants to genuinely ask him how his day went because they believe the man should understand. The man can take care of himself. Everybody has feelings and everybody has emotion. The same way you feel pain, the same way you go out there as a lady, as a woman, you go out there, you have a bad day, your emotions are ruined, and you want to come home to comfort. You want to come home to someone that will tell you it's going to be fine, someone that would give you a shoulder to lean on. People believe that because men are men, they do not need comfort sometimes. They do not need that support. They do not need that helping and that listening here. It could be just listening that helps him come out of that situation he's in. Position yourself to be in a point at a point where you listen without judging. You give ears. I'm not saying you shouldn't hear your honest opinion because sometimes people come to their partners to seek clarity, to seek their genuine opinion. You could give your genuine opinion without being judgmental. Create rooms when someone tells you, I'm seeking this advice and I want you to be confidential, regardless of what the situation is. Respect the bonds of that relationship by keeping it confidential. Because it seems betraying when someone tells you something, a partner tells you something, and this goes both ways. And you take that particular story, you table it among the boys, or you table it in your girly brunch, atmosphere becomes something. Even when you tell them, please, I'm telling you this thing in confidence, because it's not their secret. Have you ever noticed that people tend to protect what's theirs, but whatever doesn't necessarily or directly links to them, they throw caution to the wind. The moment you take your private life to a third party, You automatically become the judge. They definitely begin the special advisor in that situation. They tell you what you want to hear sometimes, and they tell you what their opinion is. And sometimes this opinion can negatively affect your relationship. And then emotions begin to set in, and a lot of things begin to happen in that relationship. Learn to understand the dynamics of a man wanting to be loved, a dynamics of your partner wanting to be heard and listened to, wanting to be understood. Seek what makes him happy. It is not just because it provides for you and makes you happy, it's fine. Sometimes they need to be loved, they need to be listened to, they need to be cared for. Show genuine love, show genuine concern, and see how it treats you. If he can go out of his way to make you happy, think of what he would do if you reciprocate the same love. I remain yours done simple. And if this message hits you, please hit the like button and give me a follow. Peace.